he is in like 99% of the movie. He's in basically every scene of the movie. And we never get a grasp on who Batman is, or who specifically Bruce Wayne is.
No.
He's just another character. He's not important. The Batman isn't important. The person doing the sleuthing is important.
Yeah, but it could have been almost anyone.
Yes, it could have been a new character. Hello, and welcome back to the Spoilercast, the show where we talk about movies, and we don't care about spoiling them because it is the Spoilercast. My name is Tobias, and with me, as always, is my sister and trusty co-host, Rebecca.
Oh.
Hello. And today is one of those special days when we're talking about a big new release. One that's been very anticipated now for like a year or two. So the whole
2 years, I'd say.
Yeah, the whole spoiler part of this spoiler cast, we still need to discuss, because the movie was literally released yesterday as of recording. And unless you're a patron of ours, check us out on patreon.com/domagazine. You, however, won't be listening to this until Saturday. The 6th.
I think so.
No, the 5th. The 5th.
Not 5th.
But either way, I mean, it's still very fresh. Most people probably go see it this weekend, unless they're big fans, you know. So
or they're famous reviewers,
of course. Yeah, who
you know.
always saw it already a few days ago.
Yeah.
So I'm suggesting we keep spoilers to a minimum for like the first half or something, and then we'll say from here on we'll talk specifics, you know, spoilers. As we try to do. So just, you know, there will be a big spoiler warning when we start talking like big spoilers.
True spoilers.
Yes, true spoilers. But if you're not,
there might be small ones.
There will be small ones here and there. So
I'm awful at trying to not spoil things.
Yeah.
It's the entire premise of this podcast. So
yeah. So with those words, let's get into it. And you know what? We haven't even said what the movie was talking about, but you've seen the title, so you know we're talking about The Batman.
Remind us if you're watching it.
Yeah, exactly. It's I mean, it's a title everywhere. Anywhere you're listening to this, you'll see it says The Batman in big bold text. So
that's Matt Reeves, The Batman.
Yes, the 2022 Robert Pattinson starring The Batman.
Yes.
And let's just right off the bat, because we talked about it very briefly yesterday after the movie. Yes. But I just want to hear, what did you think of it?
Well, well, as we were walking out of the theater, I think I was more hyped than I am at the moment.
Okay.
A day later. It might also be because I've been listening to a bunch of people reviewing it, and I'm kind of annoyed at some of the points they make.
You see, I didn't do that. The only one I listened to was Jeremy John's, because, and I saw some ratings on Letterboxd. That's about it. I haven't read anything or listened to anyone else other than that, because I didn't want anyone to influence me until I'd written down my own thoughts about it.
I didn't write anything down this time. I do that sometimes, but this time, nah.
Okay.
I'm still liking it a lot.
Sure. But what like at this moment now, do you like it? Do you not, you know?
No, I like it.
All right.
It's just not my favorite Batman.
All right.
What about you? This is without trying to say something that'll ruin it for people. So
oh, okay. Yeah, no, we're just gonna go through.
My favorite Batman, but it's still top. So, like.
Yeah. And I'll say as a huge Batman fan, I've been like I think one of my earliest movie memories is of Batman, either the Mask of Phantasm or the original Tim Burton 1989 movie. So I've been a fan for like almost 30 years at this point.
So I grew up with Batman because you liked it. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm always hyped when a new Batman movie comes out, so I was hyped for this one as well. And my immediate reaction when the movie was over was, my feet hurt. Sorry, haha, because the movie's fucking long. It is very long. But
you can stand up, but you know.
Yeah, but other than that, I guess my legs hurt. It's better than my feet hurt. Yeah, my legs hurt. I liked it. Which, that's the problem. That's why I don't hype movies anymore. Because the trailers and everything, I was like, fuck, man. Is this going to be the next, like, awesome blockbuster movie I watch? And when it was over, I was like, it was good.
Everyone I watched basically opened their review with, "This is the most hyped movie of 2022." I'm like,
which it is. It is.
It is?
Yeah.
But did it deserve it?
I think before everyone saw it, yes.
Yes.
It is a new Batman. It's a new take on Batman that is not, part of some cinematic universe or anything. It's not a sequel to anything. It's a new adaptation of the character Batman, yes. And it's written and directed by Matt Reeves, who, I don't know if we discussed him. I think we discussed him off air. In recent memory, has made two of the best, like, mainstream blockbuster movies of all, at least of the last few decades. He made Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes, which are amazing movies, not just as blockbuster, as movies. So I was very hyped. I thought he could really bring something new and exciting to Batman. After having watched it, he did. But I was not floored. I was not flabbergasted. I thought it was good. I have some issues with it. So I guess overall, I'm a bit disappointed that it wasn't amazing, but that's my fault for hyping it up, I guess.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I kind of agree, because I didn't watch a lot of trailers, but you can't really avoid getting some snippets here and there from the internet and whatever.
Yeah, you saw the first one.
I think I saw the first
where he
trailer.
walks into the crime scene and you hear the Nirvana song. Yeah.
And sure, that set the tone a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And that tone is in the movie.
Oh yes. They didn't try to sell it as something it isn't. It's definitely that kind of movie. Yeah.
But I feel like it was still missing something.
Yeah, and I've been.
I was trying to, like, figure out exactly what it's missing.
Me too.
I'm not certain yet. Might come up with it now that we're talking about it, but sitting alone trying to think of it, I couldn't really pinpoint it. But something is off.
Something is missing. The big thing I thought of after sitting down last night and writing down when I thought about it, if you want to read my thoughts on the movie more concise, slightly more concise, it's on Letterboxd. I don't know how you look up people. Well, it's linked, I think, somewhere.
We'll remember to link it.
We'll link it somewhere. Yeah. I think the big problem with this movie is that, and this might come off as elitist. I say that a lot, but this is a blockbuster. This is a big mainstream movie. It's for general audiences. Like, this is not for, like, I mean, it's for, like, cinephiles too and movie lovers, of course.
Obviously.
But it also has to work for a general audience.
Yeah.
And therefore, I think they pulled their punches a little bit when it came to some of the elements. Because obviously this movie is, like, heavily influenced by movies like Seven and Zodiac, or even
everyone's saying that, and I haven't even seen those movies.
You haven't? Oh my god, you haven't seen Seven?
I mean, I know Zodiac more or less, because I know what the Zodiac killer is.
You know the killer, yeah, and they're both made by David Fincher, so they're kind of similar, but specifically Seven, since it's Seven, the 7 deadly sins, 7 murders.
Yeah, I know what it is. I just haven't seen the movie.
It's just that it has the same color palette. The constant rain is a big thing in 7. This, like, crummy city that's, like, falling apart, which is not as much of a focus in 7 as it is in this movie, but still.
The city in this movie is actually a character, basically. So
it's the biggest character, I would say. So it has influences, and Zodiac as well, made by the same guy, David Fincher.
Yeah.
You know David Fincher.
Yeah.
and I mean, even other like neo-noir movies, like I don't know, like I recently watched 8mm. Not a great movie, but it has the same style, you know. And that's an interesting way to interpret Batman, especially since a lot of like the earlier comics and when he had like his revival in the like early 80s were much darker and much more focused on like sleuthing, detective work. He is, after all, the world's greatest detective.
Which has lost over the years, because
yes,
I think in most of the movies he isn't detective working at all. He's just action man.
They usually like throw in one scene maybe where he's like picking up a clue and sitting down by a computer and tick-tagging or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's just punching. Yeah. Even in the Dark Knight movies or the Dark Knight trilogy, it's mostly action. I mean, he does, he's clever, but whatever. So I that aspect is good. But when you look at it, like, say you remove the character of Batman. Say you just have another deputy or detective, a cop person.
Yeah.
This is basically just a crime thriller.
Yeah, it's like a private investigator movie.
Yeah. Batman doesn't really factor into it. And I know that, a lot of people say that like the best Batman movies is, the ones where Batman is kind of sidelined, where he's more of a, an idea, or, he's there to like solve something. So the big thing in The Dark Knight is that the Batman isn't really in The Dark Knight that much. He helps out Harvey Dent and Gordon with some stuff.
Yeah.
Then he becomes more important towards the later part of the movie. But here, he is in like 99% of the movie. He's in basically every scene of the movie. And we never get a grasp on who Batman is, or who specifically Bruce Wayne is.
No.
He's just another character. He's not important. The Batman isn't important. The person doing the sleuthing is important.
Yeah, but it could have been almost anyone. Yes,
it could have been a new character, which towards the end would have made some of the, choices more interesting. So I think that's the big problem. Like, this almost went too far in the other direction of like trying to take, I didn't say what the first direction was, but, it's almost.
Well, the first direction is the old movies where he's more action based, and this is Bruce Wayne, and this is Batman, and this is how they work together.
Yeah, at this point, like, maybe it's kind of hard to define what a Batman, what it is. What a Batman movie is, or what it is to be a Batman movie.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, this almost feels like it's not a Batman. It could have been another movie. I had similar problems with Joker, because Joker could have been about any crazy guy.
Yes.
And that was, from what I understand, the original pitch was just a movie called Arthur.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, I mean, they designed it after the Joker character, but it was not supposed to mention Joker. But then we're like, if we mention, this is me now. Now it's from here on, it's me speculating how someone, a studio exec or someone said, if we mention Joker, if he puts on a purple suit, we can market it as a Joker movie. And that movie went from making maybe $100 million to making, what did it made like 500 million, even more than that. It made so much money because it is a Joker. I mean, we talked about this so many times before. We're not, we're gonna avoid talking about Marvel and everything. We're gonna focus on this movie, but we just have to mention that movie. I know a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people does like it. That's not the problem here. I like it. But why so many went and saw it was because of name recognition.
Yeah.
Why so many?
We did a whole episode of that.
Yes.
On our Patreon.
Our last episode, we talked specifically about name recognition, brand recognition, and what Disney's done with that. And I think the same here. Like, you have a well-written movie It's interesting. It's exciting. It's like a dark action thriller, something we don't see a lot of nowadays.
No.
But also, yeah, we don't see a lot of that nowadays because people don't go to the theaters to watch that kind of movie. But unless we put the Batman in the title. Now,
you remember what I said when I don't remember which movie we were seeing the trailer before, but we saw the Batman trailer and I went, they should have called it Vengeance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I still feel that way. They should have called it Vengeance.
Because
he never calls himself Batman.
No. They do say
Other
the Batman
people
a lot of times.
Him the Bat Boy, the Batman. But
they do call him Mr. Vengeance and Vengeance. So,
exactly.
Yeah. As a joke. But it also makes sense because one of the themes, one of the underlying themes of the movie is vengeance. Both the good and bad aspects of vengeance, which we see 3 different versions of vengeance in the movie. He is one of them. So, yeah. But if this movie was called Vengeance and the poster was, a guy in a trench coat and a trilby, do you think the theater would have been packed? Because it was basically, we watched it on the biggest screen in Sweden, the IMAX. We have one IMAX screen in Sweden, and it wasn't full because nobody buys the outer seats. But yeah, it was like 400 or 500 people in there.
Before pandemic full.
Yes, it was packed. If this was just called Vengeance or whatever, Detective Guy in Detective City, and it was just a guy in the rain, smoking a cigarette on the picture. Even if they sold it really hard with good trailers and everything and whatever, do you think a lot of people would go and see it? No, it could be the greatest, it could be the best written noir movie for the last 50 years. People wouldn't go see it. I mean, perfect example, a couple of years ago, or 2019, however long that is since, I don't remember what time it is. And you've seen this as well, Dragged Across Concrete.
Oh, yes.
Very well-written police thriller, crime thriller. Different from this, but I mean, it's the similar thing.
Yeah.
Very, very well-written. It's a slow boil just like this. There's interesting characters. But no one saw that movie. It made 10 million on a $4 million budget or something like that. Nobody saw it. This, however, has the Batman. So the theaters are packed. And I know.
Yes.
I should say though, I'm sorry for ranting. Maybe. I know
Strong start here.
I know that this movie was specifically written as a Batman movie though, because
of course
this was actually back in 2016 or 17 they talked about doing a solo Ben Affleck Batman movie.
Yeah.
And that script was finished. Ben Affleck helped write that. They call it Ben Affleck's script. But Matt Reeves were taking over as director because Ben Affleck was going to burnt out after the whole Justice League debacle. Mm-hmm. And he was from what I understand, at first supposed to film that script, but then when Ben Affleck bowed out as Batman, he saw it as an opportunity to write his own Batman movie. So this was never written as a generic thriller. It was written as a Batman movie, but he of course, he wanted to do something different with it. He didn't just want to do another Tim Burton Batman or another Christopher Nolan Batman. He wanted to do his own thing, and that is good. But for all the build-up around the Batman in this, I mean, it's called The Batman. The least interesting aspect of this is the Batman, is Bruce Wayne.
Because the character of Batman or Bruce Wayne they're so underdeveloped.
Yes.
I don't know if the problem is that tiny spoiler, we jump into the story 2 years into him being Batman. Yeah. He's already had begins.
This is his second year.
Oh yeah, his second year, yeah.
I guess it's maybe 15, 16 months, whatever. Yeah, but sure.
So we don't have the whole begins. We don't get to see him find the character of Batman and figure it out. We see him already more or less fully fledged as a symbol in Gotham.
Yeah, that's how they sell him in the beginning. Because, they even have the thing from The Dark Knight, when everyone sees the bat symbol, they're like, fuck this, we'll go home instead of doing crime,
Exactly, yeah.
So he doesn't even have to solve every crime. It's enough, he is the symbol already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is, it's a good thing, because we've seen the origin so many times. We've seen his parents get killed. We've seen the whole... we've seen it to death in Batman Begins. I rewatched some of it today before this, just to compare them a little bit. And yes, Batman Begins is cool and interesting, and it's a great start, but it's an entire movie that is just a start.
Yeah, and it kind of started that whole trend of origin movies.
Yeah.
After that, we had a bunch of origin movies.
We didn't need an origin for this Batman,
this time,
but it might have been nice to have at least some more, I guess, dialogue even between him and, say, Alfred.
Yeah, something
to give us more of a character, not just a figure standing there and doing police work.
Yeah, because that's what he does. It's not even like, other than that opening scene where they have fucking voiceover, which I did not like.
Nah.
I
get it. It's kind of like old classic noir, isn't it?
It is. But it's also, I haven't heard anyone complain about that, but, that was just the scenes we saw, and then we see him walking through the crowds, and, what he talks about, like the filth and the disgusting streets. It's straight up like Taxi Driver, which was a big complaint from people about the Joker movie. That's like, it's just aping off of that one does much more than that. But this was an obvious like Taxi Driver influence. There's nothing wrong with being influenced, but I don't know. It didn't for me. It didn't fit.
No,
and also
cheap somehow.
Yeah, and also we'll talk more about that in spoiler, because there's not voiceover throughout the entire movie. Spoilers.
No. That's just the beginning.
In the beginning, and it's in the end. I kind of took cap it off. And it's like really on the nose. The voice, like what he's talking about. Like, yeah, we get it, dude. Like that's the point of the movie. You don't have to tell us.
Yeah, they're doing a tell, not show.
Which felt a little pandering. To like have to hammer home the points that are being made perfectly well with the pictures, but then also like, I am Batman. I'm not saying what he's saying because I don't want to spoil it, but like, Batman. Like, yeah, we get it, dude. Calm down.
First of all, you walk into a Batman movie already knowing that.
Yes.
Unless you were born yesterday, I suppose.
Sure, yeah.
Or have been living in a rock for the last, I don't know how long.
40 years? 30 years?
40. Yeah. So, we know what Batman is.
Yeah, but the only, like we said, like I was gonna say, the only time he really feels like, that symbol, like, because a lot of iterations of Batman have been that he's a symbol of fear, and then kind of, some there's hope, but definitely the Dark Knight trilogy, he is fear. In the Batman the Animated Series, it's obviously fear, like he's
supposed to put fear into bad guys.
Exactly, and we do have that in the beginning, because they see the sign, and all of them, are staring at, this is the opening minutes of the movie, so no spoilers, staring at, like
they see the bat signal,
and then they look behind them, and there's a dark alleyway, and like, shit, what if he's there? And they run away, and that's cool. And then of course one of them
could be anywhere.
Yeah, one of them he actually walks out of, because he says, I can't
be everywhere, but I can be somewhere or something.
Yeah, like, I can't be everywhere, but I don't have to. But, at the one place he actually is, he actually walks out of the darkness. And I was like, ooh, cool, that's Batman, He instills fear into bad men's heart. But for the rest of the movie, he's just walking around with the cops. He's basically, we know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the 1960 whatever Batman series, where him and Robin, you know, the na 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 na, that Batman, the live action series. Have you ever seen
really
that?
watched that?
No,
I've seen clips.
You can skip it. It's terrible. It's funny, but it's terrible. But in that show, he is. I mean, they even mention that in that movie, the Batman movie from 1966, that he's basically a police. He's deputized by the commissioner. So he's like, you know, when you know, in old movies, when the sheriff needs more men, they're going on a posse. He deputizes the locals.
Yeah,
that's what Batman is, and it's kind of the same here.
Honorary cop.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it feels like here. Of course,
not all of the police like Batman.
No, of course.
He's a vigilante.
Yeah,
classic Batman thing.
But he's basically just walking around with them and helping them, and I like the fact that he is not, you know, an outlaw in this one. I like that aspect of it, but it also kind of demystifies the character, and I don't know why that specific moment, but there's one moment when he's in a crime scene, he goes back to a crime scene, and he meets a character there. I don't want to say too much. And, you know, he can be there, but the other character can't be there, so he grabs that character to, like, hide them away while the cop checks out the room. And it's just a way... I don't know. It was so human, for lack of better words. And it's like, it didn't feel like Batman is not supposed to be human. That's the whole point of the mask. That he's
even though Batman
inhuman.
isn't a superhero, he's supposed to be this fantastical thing. Somehow, like with human means, of course.
He should never show his like flaws as Batman. That's what Bruce Wayne is there for. Exactly. And of course, you know, you always, like in Batman Returns when he takes off the mask in the end, like there Batman shows his flaws, but that's the point. But I mean, in general, Batman should be this unstoppable force to instill fear in criminals. You know, in criminals.
Bad guys.
Yeah. And I just didn't get that from him.
No.
Except for that opening scene and I guess the car chase, because the car was very intimidating. There's there's only one car chase in the movie. Which the
Batmobile is pretty cool.
The Batmobile is cool, and that car chase is cool, even though I get that they want to go for like the more realistic tone, but I mean they could still have some more like shots outside of the cars. It's basically close-ups of the drivers in the cars for the most part.
Mostly, yeah. But I get it, because they didn't want to do the Tumbler and the Nolan car chases, because they were kind of over the top.
Sure, but I mean, car chases in general, though, any car chase movie we watch, like,
you
the
should
cameras
have more
outside, you should
the
cars driving, yeah. I mean, bad example because it's actually a good car chase scene, but I mean, when we saw the French Connection, and it's just Gene Hackman following the train with the car, that's more exciting, even though he's just following a train with a car, because you see him driving and he has to swerve for baby carriages and other cars and stuff. Here's just like close up of Batman, close up of, you see it in the trailer, the Penguin, you know, there's no spoilers, it's that car chase. We get a few shots of outside, but nothing more. Like the what's missing from the movie is Batman, basically.
Yeah, not physically, but
exactly, not physically. Yeah, like Batman and Bruce Wayne is very one-dimensional in this movie.
Yes. The funny thing is, a lot of people seem to like that. Which that was the first thing that I started getting annoyed with when I listened to a bunch of reviews. It's like, but don't we want Bruce Wayne in this movie? Don't we want him to be under the mask, not just Batman being Batman?
Yeah.
We want to have that humanity hiding and trying to not be discovered.
Yeah, that's what's compelling about the character, the duality. Exactly. And here he's just Batman.
He's just Batman. Even when he is Bruce Wayne, he is barely Bruce Wayne. He's more Batman.
Yeah, he's just Batman without the mask.
There's one scene from the trailer when they're at some sort of church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the big with the car scene.
Yeah, with the car. Everyone's running, and I mean, sure, he does the good thing and he runs for the kid or whatever.
Yeah.
But then he just stands there, and everyone's screaming and panicking. He's just standing there, much like Batman would.
He even walks up to.
Chaos, he's standing there.
Yeah.
Front and center. Like, no, you shouldn't. You're human in this case. You're Bruce Wayne, a fragile billionaire who's had a sheltered and horrible life. Just hide, for Christ's sake.
There's a similar scene, which is a good example to make there. There's a similar scene in the 1989 Tim Burton movie, with Jack Nicholson as the Joker, where there's a press conference outside of the City Hall, I think, just like this was, where some of the mobsters talk about, the main guy's been killed, so we're taking over his business. They're trying to come off as businessmen. And the Joker walks up with his mime goons, and he kills the guy with the feather pen as an arrow, and then the mimes start like shooting at the crowd with the machine guns, and Bruce Wayne is there, and he just stands and he's like transfixed. He's frozen. Even when he gets shot in the arm, he's still just watching the Joker doing this because it reminded him of his when his parents died, because we find out in that movie that it was a Joker that killed his parents. Spoiler for that 32-year-old movie. 33-year-old movie. And there it works because Vicky Vale, the female lead in that movie, is observing this, and it starts her investigation into who actually is Bruce Wayne, and that's how we find out more about his backstory. Here, though, it doesn't fill a purpose, really. Why he's so... other than, he's aloof. Because his parents died 20 years ago. I
mean, if someone has lost their parents, shouldn't they run and hide in fear when shit like that happens?
I don't know.
I mean, everyone else was.
Yeah, they
didn't lose their parents.
Yeah, it doesn't serve it serves a purpose that he sees himself in the little boy.
Sure, but then the rest.
Don't say any more about that. But there's a little boy there who he saves. But yeah, the rest then. I mean, there's even a crazy guy in the audience like, hey, don't I recognize you? I don't know if that was supposed to mean that. I just thought he's seen the Batman and recognized him. I don't know.
Nah, I think that was just the first time people saw Bruce Wayne and they're like, hey, you're Bruce Wayne.
I guess, yeah.
But I want to go to another part of this movie that I really liked.
Yes,
because we've been bashing at Batman for a while now.
Yes, because that's the main big problem. It's a big problem in the movie called The Batman. But what we like about the movie.
I do like this version of the Riddler.
Yeah.
And I like how some people have called it almost horror-esque. The way the Riddler is and what he does.
Yeah, I read
sort of, yes.
someone called him a mix between the Zodiac and Jigsaw from the Saw movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense. Yeah.
I would sprinkle in a bit of Bane, honestly.
Yeah, with the voice,
The voice and the costuming and the So some of the aspects are very Bane-ish. But I actually liked it. It worked because the Riddler has always been depicted as some sort of just silly, goofy, whatever question mark dude.
And
this one has a purpose, and he's actually angry about stuff, and he's dark.
He has a purpose.
Which a lot of Riddlers don't have. They don't actually have a purpose.
The original Riddler is just he commits crimes, but he loves riddles so much that he can't help himself but leave clues behind in the form of riddles. It's like, why, you idiot?
The original Joker who just leaves his calling card for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing. They're I mean, that's the big thing with Batman. They're really reflections of Batman in that they can't help themselves. They commit crime because they have to, and then they leave a calling card. Just like he can't help himself. He just has to put on a suit and defeat bad guys, even though it doesn't really help. It's just for his own gratification, basically. Even though he tries to say, I'm trying to clean up the streets. Like, no, you're not.
It's like
you're trying to get mommy and daddy back, obviously.
Yeah. can never a good deed never is never done just for the sake of a good deed.
No,
it's
not
done for
altruism.
yourself.
It's not altruism, which is mentioned here. Like, it's not altruism. I think the Riddler says that he's not doing this for altruistic purposes.
But I did like the Riddler because he's inventive, and the riddles are actually riddles. Like, they have a purpose, and everything he does has a purpose.
Yeah, I was thinking of that actually. It's the classic, which is very classic for many noir movies, like that the police is always one step behind, and basically that the plot, it's kind of like Indiana Jones, that the plot would really come to its conclusion without the cops even solving one riddle.
Yeah.
At first I thought, but then I had to rethink that, because the Riddler does use Batman and the police to get some of his goals. But for the most part, he is just, his ultimate plan. We will get into that more when we get to the spoiler parts, because that's another big problem for me. His ultimate plan didn't even really need any of the clues and riddles. He didn't even really have to kill any person in the movie, except for maybe the first guy. If you think about it.
Honestly. Yeah.
The final part, it's because that was already planned
maybe
ahead.
One of the other people could have needed to get gone, but
maybe.
Yeah, the end goal, you could have almost achieved it straight away, more or less.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's the theatricalities of it. I think him, much like Batman, wants to be known.
Yeah, I guess.
Because you can see a lot of, like you mentioned before, the vengeance thing has 3 different storylines throughout the movie, from 3 different characters' point of views, and they are very similar,
but also
very different.
Very different, yeah.
You see a lot of the similarities.
Yes, sure.
Throughout.
Yes.
Trying not to say things to spoil them.
Yes, I was going to say that. We've been going for almost 40 minutes.
Maybe we can start spoiling things.
Exactly.
I'm trying to talk about the movie.
I say, let's wrap up our thoughts. Like,
let's do a final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
As if we're ending this without spoiling things.
Yes. The final thoughts for the unspoiler part.
Yes.
You first.
I personally like the movie. I mean, it's a good movie, but like we've mentioned, it could have been just another movie. It didn't have to be Batman, technically.
Yeah.
And certain aspects are really unnecessary, and it's way too long. But I would watch it again. Perhaps not in the theater, though. I want to be able to pause it because it is 3 hours long.
And I would say that, I liked it. It's not like the greatest movie ever made. It's not like a revelation or a revolution of cinema or anything. It's just it's a good movie. But like you said, like it didn't have to be a Batman movie.
No.
I didn't think it was too long. I didn't feel the time really until I stood up and like, oh, my knees. But during the movie,
I have figured out what you could remove though to make it shorter.
But we'll get to that in the spoiler parts.
So we get to that in the spoiler part.
I'll say this. On Letterboxd, I gave it a 3.5, which is like
out of 5. Yeah.
Out of 5, yes. It's.
I'll probably give it around that too. I mean, it's visually very stunning.
Oh yes.
Even though it's literally just black and orange.
More or less, yeah.
It still
shades
works.
of brown.
Yeah. It works.
It works.
Everything takes place in time or rain, and it's gorgeous.
Quickly mention that. Yeah, the cinematography, except for the super close-ups, like in the car chase, like you can pull it back a little bit. But yeah, the cinematography is amazing. All the set design, the costume design. The
city feels like Gotham. It doesn't feel like something else.
Yeah, it's the first time since the 1989 Batman that it really feels grimy and dirty and like a city in disrepair. Even though they always talk about like, oh, the city's so bad, it's falling, into hell, like in the Dark Knight movies. Like you don't really see it,
You
except
only
for
see that in some alleyways.
Exactly. But here, like the city looks like shit.
Yeah.
And I also like
And they all know it.
Yeah, exactly, and I also like the fact that you couldn't really tell what time this was supposed to take place, because you have a bunch of like, of course, Batman has techie stuff, and you have smartphones, but also a lot of the cars looked like 80s or 90s cars. They were all the boxy kind of cars, like the taxis.
Yeah.
And corner stores. It felt very like, which reminded me a lot, once again, about the Tim Burton movie, which was supposed to, like, it was a movie that took place in the 80s, but it looked like the 50s, which is like the whole thing with that movie. It looked anachronistic, as it's called.
Yeah.
This one,
and it had a lot of the
that.
same feeling as the Arkham games in general, which is a nice setting for Batman.
Yes, a much darker, scarier version of Batman.
Yeah, I had a small issue with the music, but for the most part, it's good.
Yeah, the music is good. I'm not a big fan of that theme.
No. I didn't like the fact that it sounded a lot like
the first notes of the Imperial March. I think we decided. Yeah. Not exactly, but it's
every
very
time
reminiscent.
I heard it's like, I just kept going with the Imperial March instead.
Yeah.
That kind of ruined it for me, and it felt sort of like you're stealing things, but whatever. You can't really steal 3 notes.
Exactly, and I didn't really like that it's just 4 notes. There's no conclusion to that little theme, which is annoying.
But I like the song they chose for the trailer. It has purpose.
Yes, it's actually in the movie. The spoilers. Something in the Way, the Nirvana song, is in the movie. It's not just a trailer hook, it has a purpose. So yeah,
but yeah, about 3.5.
3.5. It's a good movie.
Go watch it.
I think a lot of people are just up in arms about it. They love it. I saw a bunch of 5 stars and 4 stars, and like, so you'll probably love it. Maybe our tastes are just different. I don't know.
Or at least watch it when you can on stream, because I can understand that 3 hours feels a bit daunting.
Yeah, sure. But from now on, we're going to talk more specifics. So we're in major spoiler territory. This is the Spoilercast now.
If you haven't seen the movie, perhaps you should click off right now.
Exactly. So we'll see you in the next one.
Come back when you've watched it.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye. Spoilers.
Yes, for everyone who's still here, let's talk spoilers. You had some specific. You want to talk about the vengeance thing?
Well, yeah, partially that, but I want to start off with Catwoman is completely unnecessary in this entire movie and should have been cut. It would have saved us about 30 minutes runtime as well.
I guess, yeah.
You could have added a random chick or a random person to be the catalyst for certain small events in the club.
Yeah, exactly. She could have just been a waitress in the club.
You didn't need her to be Selena Kyle, Catwoman, who felt like she was almost at like 100% Catwoman, but then she had this ugly ass knit hat that she cut up.
Yeah,
what the hell?
Yeah, she'd have just, honestly, she'd have just worn like proper, like straight up, balaclava, like a real robber's mask. Because the weird, like, it was like a knit skull cap that she cut a hole in for her eyes. It looked weird.
Just went over her nose. Stupid. And it looked like she had like spent all this money on her gorgeous leather suit, and then she's wearing a knit cap thing on her head. What the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, that's just the suit though. But yeah, the character was unnecessary. This should have been a completely solo Batman movie.
Yes. The introduction of the Penguin as a future villain, perfect. It worked. I liked it.
Yeah. And he feels a purpose here.
Yeah, he feels a purpose.
He's like the second-hand man, but then when certain things happen in the movie, he can make a power move and become the king of the underworld in Gotham.
The kingpin.
Yeah, exactly. His own thing. But yeah,
obvious sequel bait, obviously, but I didn't mind the sequel bait this way. Catwoman, however, completely unnecessary. even as a love interest, it felt forced.
Yes.
People are saying that the chemistry between them are great. Sure, yeah, but
yes, I thought the chemistry was good.
But it was unnecessary. The whole, oh wait, but Catwoman Batman has always had a relationship, so we have to add in the kissing.
Yeah, that was a
And the subtle
little
flirting at some point.
But I mean,
Come
you know,
on.
I don't know if this is considered like unprogressive, but I mean, she's supposed to be, you know, catty.
Yeah, no. I didn't.
Very like
the way they wrote the character.
And she obviously uses her
worked.
charms, you know.
Yes.
Like most women
As a Catwoman,
do.
she is great. I just don't think she's needed.
No, she's not.
Story.
For the plot, she wasn't necessary.
No, but as Catwoman, best Catwoman yet, in my opinion.
I still like, even though I guess she's problematic at this point, or that depiction is, Michelle Pfeiffer is always going to be my Catwoman.
Everyone can love her. She's not problematic. Not really.
Well,
she's too much for me.
She's a crazy woman.
Well, yeah, but she died also, so I mean...
Yeah, but I've heard... Oh, whatever. People have told that depiction is problematic. I don't care.
Sure, I wouldn't agree.
Fucking amazing.
She is very cool, but I don't like the fact that she has to die to become Catwoman. I felt that feels a bit much.
Well, she doesn't die, though.
Well,
I mean,
she loses one of her 9 lives, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose. Whatever.
It's just weird. Yeah. I prefer this kind of Catwoman where she does it for... Same with the Anne Hathaway's Catwoman, where she does it for a proper reason, not just vengeance.
Cat burglar, which the original Catwoman was. That's why she called herself Catwoman, because she was a cat burglar. She just took the whole cat thing further.
A bit too far, almost.
Yeah.
So, no hate towards Zoe Kravitz or her Catwoman at all, but for the story, she is very unnecessary.
Yes.
Even, like, she has no crossover into the main storyline of the Riddler, really. No, well... She helps out to like, her one person.
Yeah, but I mean, he is tied to the murders, because...
True.
Because the whole the Riddler's plot here, we need to go through it, because I'm also like a little annoyed with that and how little impact that had on the actual ending. Because the big Riddler plot, why he's killing all these people, is so he can expose a decades long corruption in the leadership of Gotham. Yeah.
Sorry, heard a noise.
Is your door locked?
Yes. No, I was checking the cats.
Oh, the cats. Okay.
Doing something dumb. Sorry.
Yeah. He wants to expose how the city officials took this $1 billion donation that the Wayne family or the Wayne Foundation did back in the in the late 90s or early aughts, whatever.
In early days of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, exactly. Because this Bruce Wayne is supposed to be like 30, basically.
I have no clue, actually.
Well, his parents died 20 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
So they usually die when he's like 8, 9, whatever. So
yeah.
And he wants to expose how the city officials like basically did a deal with the gangsters in the city to share that money in between each other instead of actually using it to renew the city, because it was supposed to be the city renewal project. And he wants to expose why there were certain reasons why they did it, and how that has then, of course, Gotham has spiraled even further into crime and like whatever you call it, falling apart, whatever you call that word.
Yeah, because we have this whole introduction to the Wayne family wanting to do a good thing, and they start this fund to bring money back to the people, basically, where it's needed.
And ultimately, turns out that was for
no one can keep track of it because they die, and the ones who are in charge are like, well, opportunity.
Yeah, but that's also at the heart of it, the fact that the Wayne family, the heart of Gotham City, We're using mob affiliations to cover up like family
Yes.
secrets.
It turns out.
And so the big reveal is like, haha, the golden boys of Gotham
Even
were actually
the best of them.
we're actually bad people. And that has no impact on the movie.
No, that specific reveal didn't really have anything to do. The
But that's
other
like
part
half.
of the
That's more than. It's like 2/3 of the movie is that.
no, but I mean, like the reveal of the Wayne family and their history didn't really have a lot to do with the plot of like the core plot, but the rest of them being scumbags, sure, yeah, that made sense.
Yeah, but yeah, sure. But what was the point? He already knew. The Riddler knew this. That's why he did all these riddles. He already knew the backstory because he had found he was an accountant who worked for the city office, whatever you call it, the government in the city, the mayoral office.
Yes.
So he had started looking into this city renewal fund and realized that it's a big scam. They're just it's a big like bank
Basically.
account that like the city officials and the gangs are just taking money from when they need it.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything with it. And him being an orphan who grew up in terrible conditions in the city, really hoping that the city renewal fund would make his living less horrific. He wouldn't have to see babies dying in the winter because it's too cold, or he wouldn't become a junkie just to take the pain away.
The initial start of the renewal project was also introduced at that orphanage.
Yes.
So he saw the presentation.
Yeah.
Of the whole project,
so
okay, for sure, cool, and then it kind of disappeared.
He feels personally slighted, and it's understandable. And he wants to kill. I guess he wants to kill everyone who are responsible. And I guess that's where the clues are necessary, because he doesn't know who the final piece of the puzzle is, who the rat was, who was the connection between the underworld and the city officials.
He wasn't sure, at least.
Yeah, so he leads Batman through these clues to figure out who the rat was. They keep talking about the rat.
Yeah.
And then he kills. It turns out that was Falcone, classic Batman mobster character.
Yeah.
Just so he could kill him. But honestly, yeah. So that's for his own gratification. He wants to kill the people that he feels are responsible.
I mean, also in a way, he wants to give this renewal project a chance, because if all the bad apples disappear, then good people can take over and actually use it for good things.
Yeah, but I think
but he's a bit skeptic as well, because the new mayor doesn't really get a chance to try before he's like, maybe I'm not going to trust you either. So
that's where the plot doesn't really work, because you can just say, oh, he's crazy, that's why, and he wants to
say that, actually.
He wants to both expose them and have his own like vengeance or revenge on these people. But if he didn't kill all these people and instead just exposed them with all the knowledge he had, they would have been taken down. Maybe not Falcone, but I mean, the plot would be like, everyone would know, oh, the renewal fund is just a honeypot where people stick their fingers in, Yeah. So Falcone couldn't continue doing that either. But I guess then, he's crazy, so he wants to kill them.
Also, though, because so many are involved in this scheme.
Yeah, but he had all the names.
Yeah, but even just like pointing them out, maybe they would just go, well, he's crazy. Trust us, we've always been the officials.
But he had proof.
Sure, but he could have. I don't know.
But you know why people
could have made it go away.
You know why people call him crazy? Because he kills people with
that's
torturing them to death. If you just exposed them
online.
Yeah, if you just exposed them, he wouldn't have been called crazy. Maybe.
No.
Whatever.
He obviously was crazy, though.
Yes, he was completely nuts. He was batshit. But then his second goal is to actually create, as he calls it, real change, which is the slogan of the new mayor in the city. Because her name is, what is it? Something Real is her last name. So her campaign slogan is Bella Real, and her campaign slogan is real change. Haha.
Yeah.
And his second goal or plot or whatever is to actually create real change, which for him is to destroy the seawall, or what do they call it? Because I guess Gotham City is below sea level, so they have to have a wall that covers the entire city, which is I've never heard of. Maybe that is a real thing, but I've never heard of that.
Gotham is slightly based on New York, right?
Yeah, but that's above
New York has that, but New York has that issue as well at certain points.
Okay.
That there is a seawall.
All right.
Making sure that the ocean doesn't actually come into the city.
Okay, that doesn't matter. That's just me nitpicking. But he wants
to blow this up.
Yeah, his plan was, and this was already set in motion way before the plot of the movie started. He had planted 7 vans on 7 strategic locations, 7 vans with explosive in them, to blow up the seawall, flood the city so quickly that people couldn't just evacuate. They would have to go to the big we have
Madison Square Garden version.
Yeah, the city's
the Gotham version of the Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, but there are these locations in every city where you can go in emergency situations.
It's a storm shelter, basically.
Basically, yeah, and in this one it is the big arena in the city, Madison Square Garden.
But they call it something else.
Yeah, so thousands of people are convening on that location, and this is on the night of the election as well.
So a lot of people are already there.
Yeah, and the new mayor, Real something, she's already there holding a speech, and now there's so many people trapped inside there, and he has then coerced his followers online on some sort of dark web Twitter, basically, or I guess more like TikTok, because it's a video thing.
It's a combination. It's weird.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's some social media platform that's not in the mainstream. He's gotten them to dress up like him, bring guns, and just start firing into the crowd, which is really creepy and eerie, because it reminded me so much of the 2017 Las Vegas shooting, when the guy just started firing
at a festival.
The festival crowd, yeah. And they're all dressed like him.
Obviously aiming for the new mayor as well, for some reason.
Yeah, they shoot her first. That's the same thing. Maybe she would actually inspire real change, but he didn't
give her the chance.
Yeah. So while he was clever with all the clues and the long elaborate plans within plans, at the end he was just a crazy guy who wanted to shoot people.
Yeah.
He could have skipped all the serial killer stuff, planted the vans. I guess he wouldn't have had his following then. But
did he need them if he didn't need people to shoot people?
Yeah, he could have been standing up there by himself. Because once
he could have not gotten caught, because we see that in the trailer.
Yeah. Another one, getting deliberately caught. Just because, my plan will work even though I am behind bars.
Well, and also he mentioned that being behind bars is actually one of the safest places, because then you can't get flooded.
Yeah, I guess. But
so he wanted the Batman to be in there with him somehow. I'm not sure about that one.
That's also a thing, because that's a big hint in both the trailer and in the movie, that he has figured out who Batman is. But then it turns out he didn't.
No.
So that was just that was a big oh, and you even see that because Batman is standing in the shadows when he's interrogating him at Arkham, how did you know, blah 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 blah, and it turns out that he didn't know who he was, and he was just oh really? So he moves into the light, he doesn't have to hide anymore. It's all this time, and it's oh no, I don't know, I'm just crazy. I'm literally stark raving, howling mad.
Yes.
He's just a crazy guy.
Very well played, though.
Yes, very. Paul Dano did it, but it didn't really fit. He had this grand plan. It all came down to, I want to shoot people at Madison Square Garden.
You want to shoot fish in a barrel, literally.
Yeah. And also then, this is a weird one maybe, why did they all bring, not even semi-automatic rifles? They brought, what if it's called, I don't know, spring loader or whatever.
Yeah.
Why didn't they bring the classic, school shooter, terrorist weapon, AR-15s, and just started peppering the crowd? They could have killed dozens, if not hundreds of people. But instead they're like, pow, clack, clack, pow, clack, clack, pow. It's like, come on! I get this because it won't be too many killings, because it is another thing, that restricted the movie. It's a PG-13 movie.
Yes.
Which they're really straddling the line. It's very dark, it's very violent, but it's still very bloodless.
No blood.
Yeah.
There's no, sexual anything, really. There's a little bit of drug use, but that just looks like...
Yeah, and it's fake drugs.
Drops.
It's drops.
Eye drops.
Yeah, so... imagine if this was an R rating, and you had the Riddler just standing up there like, yes, like lambs to the slaughter, he says, and then he just fires off, hundreds of rounds into the crowd. He would have killed so many people.
Even some of the Batman stuff would have made more sense if he could be properly violent.
Yes.
Because we see him lose it almost twice.
Yeah.
However, we don't get to see the person he's hitting at all. We only get to see him hitting.
Yeah, but there are a couple of people in this movie that he beats up. I'm pretty positive they're not getting up. He killed those people. Especially that last guy. He was bashing his face in with his big armored gauntlets, and after he injected himself with the crazy drug, it was obviously adrenaline or epinephrine or something. Yeah. And that guy didn't even bleed. Are you kidding me? His head would be meatloaf.
Yeah. There's a few action scenes where he's in a fist fight with people, and you can see afterwards that they're hurt. I mean, there's broken bones and noses and cuts. Yeah. But there's no blood in the actual scene. You don't really get close-ups of the fight. The few close-ups you do get is just of Batman's face as he's hitting the person that you can't see.
Although I want to say...
a very cool impact, because it's paired with the amazing sound of the actual punches. You feel the punches in the theater seat. Yeah. Especially in the IMAX theaters. I don't know about normal, but probably you'll feel it a bit too.
You will, because it's big sound in every theater. Basically. Yeah. I gotta say, I think the fight scenes were very well choreographed and shot.
Yes.
Yes. It was just that they pulled their punches literally because it's a PG-13 movie. Yeah. Imagine if this was John Wick, and he was just he was just massacring them. And I know that's the whole thing. Batman doesn't kill, but in this dark version of Batman, or we literally see him in that end scene where all the people are standing up in the rafters and they all have guns. We literally see him grab one of the guys' rifle, pull it away from himself, and the guy then shoots another of the terrorist guys. So that's literally him.
Someone shoot.
Yeah, but it's literally him pointing a gun at someone and killing them. That guy died. He was shot point blank in the chest. But no, Batman doesn't kill. I get that that's his thing, but if you're gonna break that rule, come on, just break it properly then.
Because he even has a point a couple of times in the movie of making people not shoot others. Because we're doing it my way. We can't shoot people.
And then, of course, that wouldn't work because the final vengeance plot is him realizing that he came so close to becoming one of them.
Yes.
But bruh, you already did. You killed so many people in this movie.
I mean, even in the first scene we see him in,
that guy is not getting up.
Hitting a dude so bad that he's not getting up.
It's the one from the trailer. The guy who looks like the Joker. The gang guy with the face makeup.
Yeah, they have the white face skull makeup thing.
It's the 3-4 punches to get him down, and then he just bashes his face as he's lying there. He's dead.
Even the victim goes, "Don't hurt me."
Yeah, that guy is dead. Who are you kidding?
You just punched the dude into the ground.
If you want to make him not kill people, don't film the scenes like that. That's what I mean. There is this, either you do a Batman movie or you don't.
Yeah.
I'm very frustrated with all this, but I just want to reiterate, I still like the movie. There are these things that frustrated me and what kept it from being a great movie and just being a good movie.
Yeah, it I mean, yeah, they're trying to make their own Batman, and they're succeeding because we haven't seen a Batman like this before, really.
No.
But is it really Batman? I mean, from what I like remember from the old cartoons and like the few things I read in comic books, sure, this is somewhat more like that because they have more of the detective aspect.
Yeah.
But you also have a much darker person behind it being like almost a killer, which is so far from what the cartoons and the comic books are, what I remember. I'm not saying like, because Batman Begins and The Dark Knight and all that, they went almost too far with the tech and the cool stuff. They went too modern. This is better in that sense.
It's kind of funny because those movies were called like, oh, this is a more realistic, grounded Batman, and comparing them to this, oh my god, they're like science fiction.
Yeah, they're sci-fi. This one is better in that aspect because he doesn't have a lot of fancy, weird gadgets. We don't get to see him like spend thousands of dollars ordering fucking bat ears from Japan.
Yeah. Taiwan.
The whatever. Instead, he has a muscle car that he has probably amped up himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He has a few like grapple hook gadgets,
and
which is what he mostly used.
He has a wingsuit, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
His
terrible execution, but it was a cool idea.
His cape turns into a proper wingsuit, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, but when they actually filmed it, it kind of looked stupid because you could see the CGI and it looked kind of cheap.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they even used
the idea.
They used the face, the front facing like head camera like you always see in wingsuit videos on YouTube and shit. I liked that though. There was like also, the realistic aspect of it.
I both liked and disliked the fact that they humanized him in that scene when he couldn't land.
Yeah. That was like the only time they flirted with like humor because he was like, oh, and he got up and like, oh, damn, basically.
But at the same time, like he's supposed to be Batman, and he's been Batman for almost 2 years. Shouldn't he know how to land that shit by now?
Maybe he never actually had the time to try it before. I don't know.
No,
he looked like, oh, when he got up there and like, fuck.
He looked a little bit nervous.
Yeah. That would be good to know, you know, maybe have a scene where he's like working on that wingsuit, in your 3-hour runtime, you could like get that in there. So by, you don't have to have as much like tech production as they do in the other movies, but a little bit.
To more conversation between him and Alfred regarding the Batman aspect. Because you have like, 3 conversations?
Alfred is in literally 4 scenes in the movie.
Yeah, and one of them is by himself opening letters.
Yeah, exactly.
Waste of talent.
Yes, I'm glad Andy Serkis got to do it because he's a very good actor.
Oh yes, fantastic.
But he was a little wasted. Yeah.
I hope he gets a bigger part if they do continue on. Which.
Yeah, they even hint that he wasn't just the family butler. He was a security guard, a lifeguard.
Yeah.
Bodyguard.
He was supposed to protect them.
Yeah.
Which is why it works, because he looks buff.
Yes, and that's also, something that is from certain versions of Batman. Alfred was like, and they even mentioned that briefly in The Dark Knight, that he was a soldier back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
But
in this one, it's just younger and buffer. He's not an old man like he's in all the other ones.
Yeah. So yeah, the big, I think the big problem with this is that all the things that made this stand out as a Batman movie are also the things that kind of made it feel not as much as a Batman movie.
Perhaps we have too many Batman movies.
Yes, we have too many Batman movies. Like, I mean, if you want to count the Ben Affleck the Ben Affleck Batman, he literally like had his first movie 6 years ago, and the last time we saw him was last year in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Exactly.
And now they're introducing a new Batman.
We've had so many actors playing Batman, so many different interpretations of writing Batman, directing Batman. I mean, just looking at the older ones.
Ugh.
you have it's such a stark difference between the Tim Burton movie and who did the first one?
The
Uh,
60s one.
yeah,
I don't remember the guy's name. Leslie
whatever. You know what I
something.
mean? There's
Yeah.
such a difference between them, and even like then going to the Nolan movies, and then Ben Affleck's Batman, and then this. They're so different that you don't have a grasp on who Batman is really anymore.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you can do Batman however you want to, almost.
And we briefly discussed this in our last Patreon episode, patreon.com/don'tmakescene, that the only time Batman, a version of Batman had a beginning, a middle, and an end was the Christopher Nolan Batman. All the other ones are just, left behind, or, they scrapped that franchise or whatever,
Or they're thrown into another bigger franchise,
Yeah.
which I'm afraid of.
Um,
This one has
we'll talk about that,
potential.
however. This one has potential, and I think with time this will be a better movie, because I found that out today, actually. I hadn't read up on this movie because I didn't want to. I didn't want to spoil anything, but Robert Pattinson has, this is a spoiler, I suppose, but he has signed on for 3 movies. So this is probably going to be another trilogy. So hopefully we get to go deeper into Bruce Wayne as a character. We get hopefully the last one is a proper ending, like The Dark Knight Rises was.
I didn't mind Robert Pattinson as the Batman.
No, he was a good Batman.
He was a good Batman. He was a good Bruce Wayne too, even though he didn't have a lot to go on for that character.
Yeah, he was fine.
Like, he wasn't the problem.
No. The problem was the writing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I am cautiously excited about having 2 more movies. Someone said like, "Oh, I hope they make 5," and I was like, "Nah,
no,
3 is enough."
And exactly, don't push it.
There's a reason. There's always been trilogies.
And there's a reason.
It's a good amount.
Like 99% of all scripts are cut up in 3 acts: a beginning, middle, and an end. Is because that formula really, really works.
Yeah.
So make this the beginning, then a middle, and then an end. Yeah. Yeah. And don't. Yeah.
But I wouldn't be mad if they do make 3 movies in total.
So as long
compared to other times where I would be mad at that. Not Batman movies, but like in general, I'm not a fan of like movie series where you have to watch more than one movie. A movie should be a standalone.
Exactly.
But Batman, it works because he has such a big arc, and you have so many villains that you want to see on screen.
Sure, yeah. So it lends itself well or better to more movies. Sure, yeah.
But a maximum of 3, please.
Yeah, but going back to then, like, what if this wasn't a Batman movie? What if this was just a random vigilante guy movie, and you have the scene where I'm not really sure what his goal was, but in the end, where the stadium is filling up with water. And of course, there's a bunch of like electricity wires and stuff hanging, and it's breaking.
Yes.
And there's this big chunk of metal that is like sparking and screeching, like
it's an electrical box of some sort.
Yeah, and they're like hinting at, oh my god, it's gonna fall down and it's gonna electrify the entire crowd. So Batman jumps onto it, takes off his bat symbol, which is his batarang, which is kind of cool, but also kind of silly.
Yeah, kind of weird.
And cuts it off, and he waits a second, and then it's like, no, I gotta do this, and he cuts it off, and he falls like
and he gets
200 feet
somehow.
Yeah, he gets electrocuted when he cuts into the electricity current,
which doesn't make sense to me because he's wearing rubber gloves.
Yeah. But there's metal and stuff. Whatever. Mm-hmm. It's him sacrificing himself.
Yes.
But since it is Batman, and this is the first movie, and even though I didn't know anything about contracts, like, you're not going to kill the Batman in the first movie. There was, for a millisecond, I was like, shit, did they kill Batman? And then, no, he got up, of course.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, for the character. But imagine if this was just a guy who put on, a hood and, like, some hockey pads, like in the Dark Knight, and just wanted to, like, do something good, and then in the end, he sacrifices himself to save the entire crowd.
By falling into water and electrocuting himself somehow. That would have been so good.
Yeah, like that's the classic, the heroic death, So I love heroic deaths, but you can't have that because it's a Batman movie.
After the fact that just before that, he, like we mentioned, he almost turns to the dark side because
he almost beats a man to death.
Yeah, and he realizes it when I think it's Gordon who yells at him, and he's like, "Shit, what did I do?"
And
then
that's
him
the third
sacrificing himself.
But we also gotta say, because that's where he realizes what almost happened, because he takes off this guy's mask and he says, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And that guy he looks at Batman and says, "I am vengeance," which Batman said in the beginning of the movie, like, "Fuck, I'm just like these people." Yeah, and throughout the movie, he's always saying, like, we can't stoop to their level when Catwoman wants to shoot someone or steal money or whatever. But at that moment, he saw himself in this terrorist murderer.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, fuck. That's good.
And that would have made the perfect hero's death then, if he sacrificed himself and died.
Yeah, he does the ultimate sacrifice. But you can't do that because it's Batman. We do get a cool scene then.
Yes.
Where he lights up a flare and he literally like leads everyone to safety. And that works on a thematic level that before this he was like the classic, like even though he says he wants to clean up the city and like root out evil, he's doing it for himself. He's just running around in the streets beating up punks because
he wants to find out who killed his parents.
Yeah. Not literally, but figuratively, he wants to save his parents. It's the classic Batman psychological like profile. But in this movie, he learns to like, he realizes that there is a more nobler goal. He can actually fight for others. That's why he is this leading light, literally a leading light in the end.
Yeah.
Once again, a little on the nose, but made for a very cool visual.
Actually, now that we're saying it, it kind of worked then, because maybe he did die when he sacrificed himself, and the person who came back was the new him, the actual Batman, the real whatever.
Sure, but
but it didn't. They didn't like. They should have pointed that out more then.
It's like a death and rebirth scene. Yeah, I guess it is. But then you almost have to hammer that home a little bit. We almost like see him lying in the water, and like you see him, and you like the music is waiting for him to wake up, and they're like, and he gets out of the water. He was just like he fell into the water. We see the surface, and then he gets out. It's like then you
barely have time to like catch your breath between him. Like, oh shit, he's dead. Oh no, wait, he's not.
Exactly. If that was a death and rebirth moment, which great what's it called?
Not sure what you're looking for.
That you caught that.
Oh yeah.
Great analysis of that scene, because I didn't think of that until you said it.
No, I did. I thought of it now when you said the leading light afterwards. Like, oh yeah, maybe he did give himself a rebirth of some sort.
But if you wanted to make that a death and rebirth moment, there had to be more emphasis on him. Yeah,
that's the part you should have had on the nose, like. Yeah,
him like lying in the water in a fetal position, if you want to, whatever, and then just coming back to life.
I mean, it is a classic rebirth to come out of water.
Yeah, but it's too quick. Like we needed more emphasis. On that.
We needed more of a pause. Shit, he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have added extra minutes to an already very long movie.
Yeah.
I suppose.
But then, of course, after that, as he keeps helping people out of the arena, we get...
really like that scene, too, to be honest.
Yeah, the closing voiceover, where he then explains that maybe now I can actually do something good. That was the point of the last scene, wasn't it? Why do you have to explain this to us? As this woman grabs his arm, and instead of saying, don't hurt me, like in the beginning, she says, well, doesn't say it, but
no,
thank
she doesn't
you.
say anything.
No, but she means thank you.
It. Yeah.
It's like,
they could have had that
don't have the voiceover. Yeah.
You could have actually had the person say, thank you.
Yeah.
Or you saved me or something instead
just a thank you. Because then it would be a callback to the first time he saved someone where he just says, oh, don't hurt me, and runs away, to thank you.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I now realize that instead of just fighting for myself, maybe I'm not vengeance, maybe I am salvation. Like, We get it!
Also, that scene is so visually striking
Yes!
because we finally get to see Batman in sunlight.
Yeah, it's the first time we see him in like sun up. It's the first time because
Yeah.
before this, whenever there's like sunlight, it's like sundown. It's dusk.
Yeah. And it's all
yeah.
orange.
And here
now
it's
he's
dawn.
in actual sunlight. It would have been so
Imagine if it was just that
strong to have him just standing there in music.
Yeah, they start playing like the Nirvana song again.
Yeah.
Like, whoa! But instead it's
Instead
like,
of
I
having-
now realize that I am the hope of the city. Yes, we get it. It was so annoying. I hated the voiceover. I hated it so much. That was the worst part of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of understood it in the beginning. but
Instead
that's
of darkness, I am now the light that leads the way, basically.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think you said that, actually.
Something, I don't remember. I tuned out at that point.
I can understand and sort of accept the first one in the beginning. Sure, it's a bit of an introduction. Kind
sure.
of silly that they're telling us, not showing us, but
Yes. But that's what
it's to hammer home the showing, I suppose.
Yeah, but that's also where I feel like that's a little pandering to a general audience.
Yeah.
Which not dumbs down the script, but
Yeah, it kind
it
of
loses
does.
some of the cleverness when you tell instead of showing, like you said before.
Yeah, another thing we mentioned in the last Patreon episode, the movies nowadays are made for dumb people.
Yes.
Which this one partially was. Because
Yeah.
they had to over-explain things.
It's definitely like miles more clever than
yes.
any other, let's say, Marvel movie. And most
even
other
the
Batman
Fast and
movies.
Furious movies that we like.
Yeah, of course. This is much more clever. Like the audience actually has to figure some things out for themselves, but then they
even give us a moment to try and figure out the riddles ourselves before Batman tells us the answers.
But then they just had to add that stupid voiceover in the end, ruining such a perfect scene, such a perfect ending. With
Can someone
I am the light. What?
And cut out someone needs to recut that scene and just cut out the voiceover and just show us.
Yes! I was thinking
Beautiful.
as we were sitting in the theater, I was thinking that, like, even with the opening, I was like, oh, I gotta, like, when this is available on Blu-ray or something, I'm gonna buy it, of course. It's good enough for me. I won't watch it in theaters again, but I'm gonna watch it again.
Yes.
To take that scene, because it's just sound effects. There's not even voices from any of the goons or the criminals. It's just a voiceover. So remove the voiceover, just put the music back in, and just put put similar sound effects on that scene. It would be so much better.
Yes.
And I guess try to do that with the end as well. I'm not sure I can do that. There's more sounds in that one, but
Well, yeah.
Cause that fucking voiceover. God damn! That was my opening line that I wrote in my Letterboxd review. I'll just read an excerpt, so to speak. It's the first thing I wrote, and I was how am I going to start this? So I just wrote, I knew this was not going to be my new favorite Batman movie when Bruce Wayne narrates the second opening scene. There's two opening scenes as well. Annoying.
Oh, yeah.
Because it starts with the Riddler killing the mayor, which was a good scene.
Yeah. Yes.
But then you have
Very cool.
another scene. Anyway, second opening scene of the movie, like some sort of Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, or Travis Bickle, the taxi driver.
Yeah.
Sure, it serves a pretty good thematic purpose because it's very dark and brooding in the beginning and then it's hopeful in the end, sure. But it also shows that Matt Reeves knows what kind of movie he is writing. Yeah. He's writing a blockbuster.
In conclusion, for us bashing this movie, all that we've done, it's still a almost pretty great movie. Like, I'm not going to give it 5 stars. I'll stick to a 3.5 like you did probably.
Yeah.
Because it is very well done.
Yeah.
It's technically amazing.
Yes. And all the actors are amazing.
Yes, the acting, most of the music is amazing. The sound editing is fantastic.
Yes, everything.
You could feel the car engine in your fucking brain.
In your chest.
Well, yeah, I felt it in my skull too.
No, you mean your actual skull? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean most of the writing. The most of the writing is good.
Yeah, it's good. It's actually good. There are a few flaws that we personally would have picked out, changed a little bit,
Yeah.
but it is ultimately a very good movie.
Yes, it's way above average.
Yes.
It just didn't reach that like great status.
And we talked about ranking the Batman movies. I don't know if we're doing this here or if we're saving it for the patron, but I can tell you this much: it's definitely up there.
We'll give a little teaser. Our next Patreon episode is us just ranking the Batman movies. By the way,
Talking about Batman in general.
talking about Batman, ranking the Batman movies. Just so you know, that includes the 1966 Batman movie and the 1993 Mask of Phantasm. Just so you know. So if you haven't seen them before,
Find them.
well, you can find them online.
Yeah.
Just so you know. So if they're, you don't have to rewatch all of them, but if you haven't seen those, you have to watch those. I'll say this just to go back to my because I started working on the list. And yeah, this is not my, like I said, it's not my top. It's not even in my top 5.
Well, it might be in mine, to be honest.
All right.
But I haven't seen all of them, obviously, because I haven't seen the 2 oldest ones.
Pretty well. The movies we're counting, and also I'm counting Justice League twice because it's 2 completely different movies.
Sure.
It's the 2017 version and the Snyder cut. Yeah. So it's Justice League. This is a hint. I'm gonna read them in an order here. You'll have to figure out what order I'm reading it in. It's Justice League, Batman Robin, Batman 1966, Batman Forever, Batman vs Superman, the Lego Batman movie, because that was a theatrical release, Batman Begins, The Batman, Batman Returns, The Dark Knight Rises, Batman 1989, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, The Dark Knight, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Those are the movies.
I know your order now. I know exactly which order that was.
Yeah, some stuff might change, but yeah, this is the general order.
Well, I can tell you in my general order, this will be top 5 at least.
All right.
Because I'm not a fan of some of the ones you are a fan of.
Yeah.
But yeah, in like general, in conclusion, this is a great movie and you should watch it. It's a bit long, so perhaps wait until you can stream it.
Yeah.
For your own sake.
Or rent it or
unless
whatever.
Or rent it or whatever. Unless you do want to experience the full effect, though, go watch it in theaters.
Yes.
The sound is definitely deserving.
The sound is, but I mean, honestly, it's not like a super bombastic movie.
No. But some of the editing, the sound editing.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Great.
Do you want to end it by reading some reviews? I haven't actually looked at the Metascore.
I haven't. I mean, the Metascore is 72.
72.
It has 8.9 on IMDb.
Yeah, which is kind of funny because it did drop down from 9.1 yesterday, so it might drop a little more.
I'm afraid though a lot of people might have, like we've seen before, they've probably reviewed it before actually seeing it.
Yeah. Maybe
like they reviewed the trailer or something.
Well, you can't add a score until the day of the release.
True, but it doesn't mean everyone's seen it yet.
No, of course not.
The actual premiere date on IMDb, I think it's for Sweden then.
Yeah,
it's like tomorrow.
Tomorrow, the 4th.
As of recording this. And we saw it yesterday, so
yeah,
I mean...
we saw the 2nd of March.
I'm not sure how that works.
I'm not sure either. It has... Whoa! So it runs the gamut, of course, like most movies. And everything from a perfect 10 out of 10 or 100 on Metacritic down to 2.5. So it has actually 3 perfect reviews, 10 out of 10. That's from Variety, The Telegraph, and IGN. So we don't have to care about IGN.
Yeah, I heard IGN's. I watched their YouTube review. It just sounded like they were like, "It's Batman, it's great."
Yeah, that's the thing.
They don't care.
That's also the thing. Just quickly going back because we're running a little long here, but whatever. Once again, if this wasn't a Batman movie, do you think they would have said that?
No.
Would they even have reviewed it?
No.
No? Yeah.
No.
And
Just because it's Batman.
And also, this wouldn't have been a $100 million movie. This would have been like a $40 million movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I gotta say though, kudos for not like just spewing out like $300 million to make this movie like they do with Marvel movies nowadays, or just comic movies in general. Like they stuck to a relatively small budget of $100 million. Kind of sick. Just to reference an earlier episode, Uncharted, which we talked about not last week, but two episodes ago, that cost $120 million to make. Anyway, Variety. Peter de Brugge writes, 10 out of 10. This grounded, frequently brutal, and nearly 3-hour film noir registers among the best of the genre. Does he mean film noir or comic books then? Because this is far from the best film noir. I don't know.
Both?
Both?
Combination?
Even if, or more aptly, because what makes the film so great is its willingness to dismantle and interrogate the very concept of superheroes.
That's what Batman always does, though. That's like all of the Batman movies.
Not really.
Because he's not super. He's a hero.
But how does it dismantle the concept of superheroes?
Because he's not super, but he's still a hero. I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I think if you want to dismantle superheroes, like watch The Boys.
Yeah.
Like more of a whatever it's called.
I like the next one, the 8.8 out of 10 by James Berardinelli.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
At a time when many comic book franchises are seeking to go bigger with cosmic beings and multiverses, the Batman's down-to-earth approach offers a welcome reprieve. Definitely.
Yes, definitely. This is even though I worship the Snyder Cut, I'm sorry, I do. This is a better fit for a solo Batman movie.
Yes.
I just want to read, because I like Robbie Colin. He's usually pretty good. I don't always agree with him, but he also gave it a 10 out of 10 for The Telegraph. The 2 stars generate an astonishing sensual charge in a brilliant addition to the Batman canon that refuses to behave like a blockbuster. That's true. Like, they all the time, they straddle the line of what if actually calling it a blockbuster, but because it's always like, yeah, we have a big fight scene, but it's pretty short, and we have car chases, one between 2 cars.
Yeah.
The only time it really goes into big budget dumbass blockbuster is in the end, but it's still intelligently made. It's not just a bunch of loud noises.
Okay, I'm sorry, but the lowest score is a 2.5.
Yes.
By Mick LaSalle at San Francisco Chronicle. Nothing that works here adds up to anything worth a long slog in a movie theater. Watching Pattinson punch guys and knocking guns out of their hands from start to finish, the Batman is mostly just a collection of bad ideas. It's a little bit like, did you watch the movie properly?
Yeah, it's, however, I gotta say, I usually don't this pedantic, but the punctuation is different. It's actually...
Oh, yeah.
Nothing that works here adds up to anything worth a long slog in a movie theater watching Pattinson punching guys and knocking guns out of their hands. From start to finish, the Batman is mostly a collection of bad ideas. That doesn't make it any better. I still say he's wrong.
He didn't watch the movie properly.
No, because...
Same with...
Mostly a collection of bad ideas? There's a bunch of great ideas. There's sleuthing, riddles, mysteries...
Same with the Washington Post, and Hornaday gave it a 3.7.
Yeah.
Welcome to The Batman. Yet another lugubrious?
Lugubrious, never heard that. Lugubrious? I never heard that word.
I can't say the other one. Laboriously grim slog masquerading as a fun comic book movie. Basically, it's a slow, big-ass, dark movie trying to be a... fun comic book movie? No, it's not trying to be a fun comic book movie. It's stepping away from the comic book aspect.
Hold on, I'm going to look up lugubrious, because I've never even heard that word.
No, Swedish might be at a disadvantage here.
Okay. Lugubrious. Mournful, dismay, or gloomy, especially to an exaggerated or ludicrous degree. So it's super moody and edgy. Yeah, and it is. It is.
Sure. but it's not trying to be
No, it
a
works.
fun comic book
you know?
movie.
Yeah, and then laboriously is just that it's very tiresome. It's hard work, and yeah, I get that. Laboriously grim slog. Yes, it's 3 hours long. For some people, that's just a turn off. For me, it
Personally,
didn't
it's a
feel
bit
like
long.
that, but yeah, I didn't feel like it was too long. But then masquerading as a fun comic book. No, where does it even try to be like a fun, like, hey,
Again,
I'm
did you watch
Batman.
the movie?
Yeah, fuck you. Sure, like, this is subjective, but that's just wrong. It's never trying to be fun. What are you talking about? Okay, I just read a little quickly here. 5 out of 10, New York Post. The Batman is the first Caped Crusader adventure in a while to come off as completely purposeless.
What?
Not
completely.
Let's see what he says. Christopher Nolan's movies reframe the comics as a realistic, psychologically complex tales of an urban blight. And Affleck's Bruce was built to fit into a wider DC universe.
Yeah.
The Batman is here just to ensure that Marvel has box office competition.
Well...
I can see what he's saying. Because the Dark Knight movies was definitely it was an answer to the politics of the day. They've been called the Bush era Batman, which they are, I guess, for the most part.
Yeah.
At least the first two. And like how capitalism versus socialism and how Bruce Wayne is portrayed, I'm not super well versed in the political aspects of that, but I understand what they're saying when they mean it's a Bush era Batman. Like,
sure.
It's a reflection of the times. So that movie, that other than just being good movies, they have a point. The Ben Affleck movies, I don't know if they have a point.
They are more there to try and like give Marvel a run for the screen time.
Yeah, although I would say that at least when it came together as a trilogy with the Snyder Cut, they were trying to not just tell another superhero movie. It was literally telling like a tale of gods and monsters, like giving, like literally like the superheroes in the movies, like give people something to look up to. In those movies. So I understand kind of what he's getting at, even though it's pushing it with the Ben Affleck movie. But honestly, this one, what is the point of this movie other than being a cool mystery and a new Batman movie? What is the what are they trying to say?
I think that's just it, though. They're not trying to say anything. They're not trying to be political or like giving any sort of commentary on real life. They're just making a movie to escape realism.
Yeah, but then
do you need to have a point to that other than entertainment?
You don't have to. And like we said, like the Dark Knight movies, you don't have to care about the political things to make it for that to be interesting. But like he says, this is the first time that it's completely purposeless. It is just a good movie. And I mean, he didn't give it he gave it a mediocre score. So I kind of want to read the whole review. Maybe we won't do that.
We're not doing that on the episode.
Sure.
I want to read one word that I'm just not sure if a lot of people have either watched the other movies or know anything about Batman or even have an interest in watching the movie. From BBC, Nicholas Barber, he gave it a 6 out of 10.
Uh-huh.
The story also ends on a touchingly optimistic note, which is unusual for a Batman film. Who knows? Maybe the next one won't be quite as gloomy. Pattinson might even crack a smile, but I wouldn't bet on it. Why do you even care about that part? That has nothing to do with the movie.
Yeah, no, I see what he's saying, though.
It's supposed to be gloomy, but like, come on.
Yeah.
It's a bit... Did you watch the movie properly? Do you understand what the Batman is normally? I don't know. It feels odd. Feels like a lot of people are not. Like,
no, but I also think that people are like disassembling this and analyzing it more closely because they really wanted to sell this as more than just a comic book movie. So it's under more scrutiny, which I think is fair.
But it's also based very strongly on like 3 of the older Batman comic book parts, right? I read somewhere that he based it on
Batman Ego, Long Halloween, and Year One, I think. I've only read Year One and Halloween, Long Halloween.
Exactly, Ego, Year One, and Long Halloween.
Other than the rain, I don't see what the Long Halloween influence is. I guess the whole serial killer aspect, maybe. Because maybe I'm thinking.
Personally, I haven't read any of those, but still.
Batman Year One, definitely, because it's a young, more angry Batman, and he basically like punches people.
Everyone.
Yeah. And there's no like super villains or anything. But let me just read this, because it's interesting. This is from that review. Johnny Oleksinski from New York Post. In the latest perfunctory film, The Batman, Gotham is bleaker than ever. Too bleak, if you ask me. Whatever. That's his. Director Matt Reeves' downer movie embraces the realism of The Dark Knight, which is the opposite of Tim Burton's Purple Haze Funhouse, sure. Only without the payoff of excellent writing and acting. Well, acting wrong. I think the acting is good. But then he just says...
We didn't even mention... what's his name?
Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Jesus Christ.
Hello.
But then he says that there's an unshakable feeling here of, what's the point? Yeah.
Sure. There is a bit of a what's the point.
What's the point? Oh, it's another Batman movie. Maybe, honestly, we talked a lot about, we thought that Batman was the problem or the plot. Maybe that's the thing we couldn't really put our finger on. Like, what's the point?
Maybe that's the thing that's missing or like is wrong.
I'm glad I'm gonna read. I usually don't read the entire reviews, but this one I gotta read because I'm having an epiphany. Yeah, I'm not gonna lower my score or anything, but what is the point other than entertainment?
You know what? I'll let you read it, and we'll get back to that in the Patreon episode on Monday.
Sure. Yeah. This has gone on long enough.
Yes.
But
we've
ultimately
already had our final scores.
Yeah, we should reiterate that. Like, it's a good movie. Not great.
But it's still watchable. It's not like we're gonna say like you don't have to watch it. No, go watch it.
Definitely watchable. Very well made movie. It just doesn't really have that extra, which might now be why am I watching this?
But you know what? Watch it and get back to us. Tell us what that was wrong. Explain to us what we have missed.
What was the point for you? Definitely. And also, if you want to hear our Batman ranking, where this ends up in the rankings, what we think of the other movies, check us out on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. There's links everywhere. For only $3 a month, you get an extra episode every week. You get monthly commentary tracks, and you get early access to certain episodes. Early access to my other podcast, my Nicolas Cage podcast. You get early access to this. You would have heard this on Thursday. And all that for just $3 a month. So please check that out. And also, you'll be supporting us in our independent podcasting endeavors.
Yes.
But if you're just following us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, or watching us on YouTube, that's much appreciated as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes.
And we'll see you in the next episode. But until then, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. The Spoilercast is part of Please Don't Make a Scene. It's hosted by Tobias and Rebecca Widén, produced by Tobias Widén. Executive producer is Annika Widén. Direction and sound editing by Tobias Widén. A big thank you to all our supporters over on Patreon for keeping this show going. Rasmus Jonsson, Laura Kinney, Mom and Dad.